Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For you and everyone else looking at tonight, I got a little special. I know it has been a very, very long time since I've seen many of you, but I figured that I'd start off 2025, or I'd say the end of the first quarter of 2025, with a little what's in my tackle box kind of video. I have a couple other boxes and I figured I'd run through them. But I figured this would be a really good opportunity to show you guys, what am I using in 2025? I've been seriously fishing for a pretty good chunk of time now, and, I figured I'd share with you, all the techniques that I have, or really crankbaiting as a technique, why I trust it so much, in a day-to-day kind of experience. So let me get my camera all stabilized out, and let's just do this, just sit down, you and me, just grab yourself a little cup of coffee, tea, whatever you like, caffeinated, no caffeine, it doesn't really matter. And let's get into this. We're gonna have our handy dandy screwdriver to point at things. So, all right. So, number one, my favorite technique by far is square billing. And you probably can see that by the OG Rocco 5 and Citrus Shad, and we got the Red Craw, and the ever famous KVD 1.5 square bill. We're going to get rid of this power tube because that's a little bit redundant for today because I actually don't use these guys, so whatever. But I guess I'll start off with a little shimmy shammy of my crankbaits, see if I can get them unstuck, which is going to be a really interesting task. Let's see. Yeah, you guys are really going to live for the ASMR. Okay, give me a moment. You can stare into the eyeball of my OG Rocco for a little bit. So, while I get these unstuck, I just hope everyone's having a great day. I hope everyone's been catching fish, most of all. Hope everyone's been slamming them so far. It's really early in the season for me because I live up here in the north of the U.S. So let me get a little piece of paper. Bugger. This is really unprofessional, isn't it? So, alright, here we are. So the KVD 1.5 quickly grew on me because I did a lot of fishing for shallow largemouth, but I really found with it sauger or even walleyes, they love this little thing, and that's a little tidbit, I'm going to give you guys. If you need a bait that's just going to seriously catch everything, the KVD 1.5 is going to do it. I will admit it is not usually my first choice, and primarily it's because there's just a little bit too much chunk, a little too much profile to it than I like. And the problems that I have with this aren't, things that are horrible about it. It's just a preference thing, what works for me. I think the shining, aspects of the KVD 1.5 are the, really oversized bill on it. You got this super unique line tie in the front that's kind of this, oblong oval shape. And I don't mind the hooks, but I really wish they would have put the KVD Mustad Elites on here, because I will admit, instead of these being VMCs, I think these are just a generic in-house or Mustad hook. You gotta jack these fish really hard to get them hook set. I mean, you gotta absolutely wallop a poor fish into like outer space. So, again, not my first choice, but I figured I'd, list it in the video just to let y'all know. So let's go into this compartment number 2, because now we're getting into the territory of my serious all-time favorite. I'll go with my first one here. So what we have right away, I'm going to zoom in. Wow, look at that. So what we got here is the Berkeley dime in a size 10, so a real dime. What I really do like about these is that you get a really, really consistent package. These are a little less consistent, but we're not going to talk about those for now. This little guy, or I would say big guy, because that's a big bait. This guy is fantastic for, cranking through 10 feet or more in rocks. Because let me bring this up for you guys. Let me see if I can get my beautiful lamp to behave with us today. You can stare into the eyeballs of the OG Rocco again, or the butt of the money badger. Give me 1 second while I get my beautiful lamp on over. I know this is a really professional video, and I'm sure you guys are enjoying this, but I just had to record a video for 2025 before the first quarter ends, so... Alright, here we are. little better setup now. I got my white paperback. So what I really enjoy about these little guys is this bill is so stupidly blunt that it just deflects off of everything. Now I will admit I do use 14 or 17 pound fluorocarbon because I do need the extra drag of the line in the line to keep my bait up higher. So again, another little pro tip for you guys: use thicker lines if you're struggling with your bait, your crankbait snagging too much. Really the highlights of this, if I'm just gonna work from the front and the back again, super blunt, bill, ginormous oversized eyeballs. I mean, hell, I love these. These are probably some of my favorite, crankbait eyes. Oh my goodness, this camera ain't focusing. There we go. This little thing has been, or this little feature has been a recurring little, it's been a recurring theme on a lot of New Berkeley cranks. They call these the, oh my goodness, I can't remember. It's the, flash disc. That's right, the flash disc technology weight system. So what's common on a lot of baits, and yes, I'm going to bring this one up again, on balsa baits, is that they'll blow out or they'll start tracking inconsistently, especially at high or super low speeds. This will act as kind of like a natural keel, or if we want to get super technical, it almost acts as a rudder. This way, no matter what speed, depth, angle, or whether you're hitting against cover, this guy is going to track super consistently in the bottom, and you won't experience that nasty, like blowing out. It does hunt very effectively, but not as effectively as one of the baits we're going to talk about a little later in the video. So the dime, honestly, it's like the perfect chuck and wind bait. I mean, I will give it a little bit more action, but it just isn't as good as coming through cover as the next couple of baits. So they are a little expensive, but if you got some money, my top colors will be Citrus Shad, and again, this one, but honestly, Citrus has just been such a heavy producer for me. I can't ever turn it away. All right, the next couple baits are in the same family, but I just figured I'd bring out two colors. So yes, I am going to give away my Gatekeeper. I'm going to tell you guys what I have been catching the majority of my fish on. So let's see if I can get this to focus again, because I really don't like my Apple camera sometimes. But, oh, the glazing begins. The glazing begins again. So the OG Rocco 5, honestly, I don't think there's any good place to start off for this guy without just spieling for a little bit, so enjoy my ramble. This was a hard one to initially get into, because truth be told, these are expensive baits. I do receive a lot of this stuff now for a little small discount, but, I think this opened me up to a brand new world of crankbaits, because I will admit I have been such a Berkeley stickler for all my fishing mini career, if we're going to call it that at this point, that going to Rapala was like insane to me. So I'll zoom up, blow up the camera a little bit more. There we go. So I guess some of the highlighting features of the Rocco is that, again, we have this oversized square bill to it that works extremely effective against wood, rock, maybe not grass, but I would say sticks, and a lot of the gross things that are found in my river. For me, I don't like balsa baits because they're usually too light. But this guy comes out at a very healthy weight of 3/8 of an ounce. And with 3/8 of an ounce, you can throw this on a medium heavy, medium, and 14-pound fluorocarbon, and yes, on a bait caster, which for me was a game changer, when I was trying my first balsa crankbaits. So yeah, what other highlights do we have about the bait? Apart from deflection, which is honestly just like the whole point I use these things. The stock hooks are good. They are not my top choice. I'm gonna, say the KVDs are a little better. But I think if you're fishing around some really heavy cover and you just gotta winch those suckers right on out of there, these are gonna do the job just fine. I did mention it in a previous video at one point, but my top tip for a lot of people is, if you are scared to snag a very expensive crankbait, because $10 per bait is not cheap. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. That's a lot of money for a lot of people, especially people who are very tight on money. Clip off this front treble, not the full treble hook itself, but the front barbed point. just enough for my, where my screwdriver is, where it starts bending over, cut that off right there. Whether you got to use an angle grinder, wire cutter, bolt cutter, whatever you need, I promise you, you are going to eliminate so many snags. It is going to make your life so much easier, and I give you my word, I have never ran into issues with less hookups on the water. If anything, it makes it a little bit better because you usually hook up on this back hook, which it has a lot more free swing to it compared to the front hook. So fish usually spit this one. So just a little words of wisdom for y'all. Again, bait profile, absolutely fantastic, and the action is just simply something you have to experience in real life. I mean, it's not like a money badger, it's not like a fritz side, it's not like a dime. It is its own special little wobble. Just the wobble, or I guess, yeah, the rolling is not as heavy as the wagging and the thump is. Because the thump is a combination of not only pitch, roll, yaw, and waggle, or it is a combination of all of those. It's a little late here, as if you can't tell. It's a combination of all of those in one. And when it all comes together, it produces a very heavy wampa, 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 wampa. That's the only way I can describe it in the water. That kind of sound. So, again, simply put, please just go try one. You are going to be amazed. And if there's any colors, I would suggest it's citrus shad if you're in the north, Helsinki shad if you're in the south, bream if you're in the north, middle, or in the coastal end where you have a lot of panfish, and try a craw color if you have a lot of crawfish in your lake. I don't have very many big craws in my river systems, but I know for a lot of people they work extremely effectively. Alright, the next couple baits are going to be ones I have just fallen absolutely in love with over the past couple years now. You can already see it. It was going to happen. It was literally bound to happen at some point. You can see them just slowly accumulating on your screen as I bring one by one out to play with us today. So here we have it, the Berkeley Money Badger. These little suckers have taken my heart and absolutely trapped it ever since I caught my first couple fish on it. These, in my mind, are the most effective crankbait. If you are new to crankbait fishing, or you despise crankbaits and want to love them for the first time ever, go get yourself a 6.75 or a 6.25 Money Badger, and honestly, these colors. These three colors is all you probably need if you are either in the Northwest, North Central, Midwest, or hell, even in the South these work. But here in the North, these are the most effective crankbaits. Why? Because around our area, the popular choices are either shad wraps, salmos, or a lot of the times even I can't remember the name. Oh my goodness, what were they? It's this really popular walleye crankbait, but again, these work on quite literally everything. You'll catch anything from pike on the black gold, you'll catch from smallmouth on black gold, you'll catch anything from saugers on the black gold. And if you're just targeting smallies and pike, these two colors. You got the root, oh my goodness, the firetail craw, and you got the, red fire tiger? I can't remember. I'm butchering these names. It's so late right now. I'm not even going to look at my clock. But these are fantastic. And yes, I will go into a little deeper dive for this. So prepare, saddle up, do whatever you want. So we're going to work, from the front to the back of the bait, just describing what's going on. This is the best bill ever made. No joke. This is the best thing that I think has been made since peanut butter and jelly was ever created. The sheer bluntness of this is so wide. I don't think I can really put into perspective because I got little baby hands. But this thing is so much wider than the bait itself that whenever you bump into anything, I mean, hell, we're going to use this tackle box as an example. When you bump into anything, it's perfect. It is perfect. You could bump into that, bam, deflection. Bump into the ground, bam, deflection. Hell, you can bump into yourself, bam, deflection. It's going to come across cover beautifully. Again, my traditional setup for these is to clip off the front hooks, but ever since I started going to higher pound test diameter lines, because I've been using 14 and 17, and yes, one time I did throw these on 20. It is such a night and day difference that these come through cover way better. and I don't even have to cut off the hooks anymore, so I'm basically guaranteed the fish now. I don't really have any complaints for Berkley Fusion 19 hooks, but with how many pike are in the area, I probably will end up switching a lot of these baits back over to KVD triple dips just because I have a little more confidence in mustads and just how, oh my gosh, how strong they are for the diameter. Because Berkleys aren't bad, but I will admit I have broken a fair amount of Fusion 19 trebles, just simply because I usually horse my fish in pretty hard. But yeah, no, this exact profile, and it's found in the Rocco too. The profile where you have this, what I kind of call like the bean shape or the teardrop shape, I find to be the best shape for heavy thump and heavy rolling action. And you can imagine this is kind of like the be-all perfect, profile for anything. You can imitate a crayfish with this. You can imitate a panfish with this. Hell, you can imitate a nugget with this. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's a nugget for fish. Again, we see the flash disc technology used in here, and I wish I had a clear one with me today, but I don't. But you can probably hear it in there. There is a massive, absolutely, honestly, it's as big as the eye. It's actually bigger than the eye. There's a ginormous tungsten casting ball in here that when you go to cast, it's going to hit the back of the bait. And as you're casting, the tungsten ball is going to transfer to the back and leave you with a pintail first and then head back position. So you get longer casts, less backlashes, and even more accuracy. Which, it sounds too good to be true, but it is. It is true. The Money Badger, in my opinion, is the best shallow square bill or shallow cover bait ever. It's honestly better than a square bill in my mind. Fight me if you will. But no, these are incredible. I would take a bite out of these right now if I wasn't, wishing to not lose my teeth. But I'm gonna scoot these over to the tackle box. Great stuff. I have one bait in here that I am not going to talk about yet because I haven't had time on the water with it, so it's only fair to you, my loyal viewers, all 112 of you as of today. The last bait I'm going to talk about is this cute little sucker. Look at that. So this is the Rapala BX Brad, the mini size or the standard, the first one to come out a little while ago. So what I really like about this is combines all the features that I like on the Money Badger and the OG Rocco into one singular nugget. And I'm going to call all my crankbaits nuggets from now on, so you better get used to it. So, yes, this is a balsa bait, and it doesn't look like it, but I'll explain. So on the inside of the bait, it is a balsa core bait, and the outside is they're using a hypercopolymer resin to give this bait a lot more durability and, most importantly, more weight, which allows the bait to get up to a 1/4 ounce size for what it is. Because if this was balsa, we might be able to push 1/8 of an ounce, or what is it? I think, what would that be? About 2. I can't remember. It's in between 1/4 and 1/8 of an ounce, and I'm too tired to do that math in my head right now. But you get the idea. This guy casts beautifully, not as far as the Money Badger, but it casts a lot better than the Rocco. Again, a recurring theme of tonight, oversized bills. I know a lot of people are scared to throw deeper diving crankbait shallow, but as long as you keep your rod tip up and you upsize your line diameter, you're going to take off at least 6 inches off the dive depth. So don't be afraid to throw these guys on here. And especially when we're talking about crankbaits, anything we do to help shield these hooks from the cover we're pushing them through is exactly what we want. Because, whenever you can fish a crankbait a little more, into that cover, a little deeper into the thick of it. Yes, that is a funny meme. A little bit, into it, we are going to increase our bite chances and our hookup and our landing, by, double at least. Again, features I like: oversized bill, oversized eyes, stupidly tough body. And I actually like these VMC hooks. I actually don't normally like VMCs all that much as I use them. But these are nice and thin. Again, if I could change anything about them, I would probably add like a mil or two of hook bite or gap. But other than that, I've caught a ton of fish on this little guy. And, I really don't need to go, too deep into, why this bait works. You can see it. The color fantastic. Again, compared to the Rocco where you can only use, a airbrush and then like a little seal on it, like a little primer or finisher. This, we get these beautiful, 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 shiny chrome colors, mixed with mattes and, gloss. It really makes for a beautiful combination in the water. And just, you can see the light reflecting off of there. In the bright sun, this is an extremely effective bait that, it's hard to pass up for a bass. All right, we're almost getting to the end of this video, and if you've survived this long, I am so proud of you, and I'm glad you're watching this still, because I'm sure some of you have. Just to round out the night, I'm going to talk about a little bait that I don't think really gets enough love, and I'm sure a lot of people know about it. It's actually two baits, and I know a lot of people in my area use it, but I think it's starting to go a little underused, especially with how many new baits have come onto the market. Let me grab one more with a special one I got. So the two baits I really want to talk about, it's the Berkley Pit Boss and the Berkley Sugar Craw in the 3-inch size. So the reason I'm going to talk about the Pit Boss first, but the reason I love this little thing, you can modify it, rig it, and do whatever you want with this thing. I really do believe this is the ultimate soft plastic. Especially if you're fishing where there's a lot of panfish and a lot of craws. So, yes, that means you fox people down in Wisconsin. You guys are going to love this. I use this on swim jigs, flipping jigs, little skipping jigs, whatever, These are miniature jigs because it's spring, it's cold. I can't use big jigs. You get the idea. But I can put this on the back of anything. I've put this on the back of chatterbaits before. And it just works. Every single time, it just works. If I had to choose one selection or combo here, it'd probably be the swim jig. Why is that? It's because the way that they've made the Pit Boss since forever, since I think like mid-2014, the middle two claws in here, was what I'm going to call them, they don't flap. They just simply are do-nothing appendages. But with how thin, and you can see that very subtle ribbing to it, there's just enough ribbing there to catch the water where these will flutter very softly when you pitch or flip these. But the real kicker, real funny right there, the real kicker here are the two kicker legs on the outside. And I wish I had a water tank or a test tank to show this, but these have a beautiful, kind of not like rage tail, but more like a soft flap or flutter in the water, which is just so enticing for so many bass. I've even seen jumbo panfish chase these things just with how even the action is on these. So yes, on the back of a swim jig, these are absolute money. And you can see I got a Berkley Fusion 19 jig head here, in the swim jig option. It looks perfect. It looks absolutely dynamite. I've caught a bunch of fish on this one jig alone. My second favorite jig is probably the Bitsy Bug, which is going to lead me into my next bait, the Sugar Craw. It's not my top pick, but when I can't get bit on the Pit Boss, the Chigger always has my back. So, just real quick, this bait's been out for a very long time. It doesn't need any introduction. I don't even need to really go that deep into it. Big, oversized flapping arms that don't really cup the water. They just catch the water. Great for, pitching, flipping, dragging, hopping, skipping, whatever you really do like to do with your jigs. The Sugar Craw is just simply perfect. I think for a lot of our bodies of water over here in the north that have smallmouth, this is literally the best package you can give those fish. It's the best thing ever. I used to hate jigs, just like crankbaits, but this is the first jig and setup I've ever, got consistent bites on. And I'm very confident that a lot of you guys out there that just, don't have the confidence yet to, throw a jig, try a Bitsy Bug, try a Sugar Craw, not the 4-inch, but specifically look for the 3-inch size. Because it downsizes the body, it downsizes the legs, and most importantly, it makes the flappers, or the claws, I don't know if I could call these claws even anymore, they're so big. It makes them much more blunt, and they catch a lot more water this way. Yeah, but no, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I know it's really kind of a up in the air, just kind of spur of the moment, but I just felt like I had to. I'm excited to share with you guys more stuff. I'm going to try to, post a little more often. From here on out, It's gonna be kind of like a more casual approach to YouTube, especially with my long content. If you made it this far, again, thank you. This, like, really thank you for watching this far. You know, I know a lot of people watching here are probably tactically geeks just as much as I am. So I got more boxes to share with you. Let me just rattle one in the background. Yeah, you can hear that. There's a lot of tackle I got to go through with you guys, and I am extremely excited to share with you and teach you guys, how to do these techniques in the water in the coming future. I have a couple, buddies we're going to be fishing with. It's going to be exciting. This is going to be a very exciting year, and I'm extremely excited to, share with you new content, new spots, new fish, new rods, new reels, everything. I appreciate your time, and I cannot wait to see you guys very, very soon. Have a great day, have a great evening, good night, guten, whatever it is, wherever you are. And I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.